And a very good evening or afternoon to you. I am Griffin Epstein, joining you from the PHS Baseball Diamond as your Petaluma Trojans take on the Molino Lions here in a battle for first place in SCL. This is going to be a big one. Molino comes in undefeated, 4-0 in league. The Trojans 2-1. They're trying to win their first SCL title in 6 years. Can you grab, there's a couple baseball papers. Apologize for the late start here. Had some technical difficulties, but they're mostly resolved now. Blake Burwer's on the mound, the Trojans ace for this big Friday afternoon affair. And he's quickly behind in the count 2-0. Molino has been on fire uncharacteristically this year, both with the bat and with the ball. They have done a fantastic job. They are led by Patrick Atkinson, who's only a sophomore, yet he's batting .636 on the season. This is Jordan Hamner, who's right behind him, batting .464. He pops it up, but it's out of play. So, Luca, you have to actively running, or one of you has to be actively running play. Yeah, are you recording right now? Are you pressing the record button? Yeah. So you want to not zoom in too far, but you want to be following the ball. 2-2 here to Atkinson. That one misses high, and he's worked it to a full count. Trojans are coming in brimming with confidence. A big victory over Annalee on Tuesday, a team that they've had a lot of demons with the last couple years. Defeated them 6-1, and then got a 6-4 victory over Sarah a week ago, the 12th ranked team in the state, as Burr misses inside. But you can tell this is a huge one for Molino as Atkinson formed the walk. He clapped at the dugout. He is hyped up and ready for this one. Here is Wesley Hamner for the Lions, one of the seniors on this experienced Lions squad. There hasn't been a lot of success in Molino baseball. They last had a winning record in 2006, 12 years ago, in SCL, but they're nearly assured of that with a couple more victories. First pitch in there for a strike. And they haven't played the hardest schedule, but they have beaten everyone nearly in their path and destroyed some good teams. Beat Willits 18-2, and even in their two losses to Fort Bragg and Windsor, two of the stronger teams in the North Bay. Throw back, not in time. Victories in SCL, 2-1 over Healdsburg, 8-5 over Sonoma Valley, an impressive 5-1 victory over Piner, the SCL foe that beat the Trojans. That one misses high. One and one. Appreciate everyone tuning in live here. It's the throwback, and Burwer aware of Atkinson's threat. Oh, apologies for that. Luca, so could you get on the headphones? They're going to plug into there. And then you're gonna switch this. So see it. Yeah, actually, first thing before you do that, see this. So Blake, you see the pictures in the scoreboard. So can you find a way to move that so he's not in the way? Okay. Another throwback to Atkinson. Got the scoreboard in the left-hand corner, trying to adjust it so Trojans ace Blake Burwer is not in the way. 1-2, the early count. This one is chopped down the third base line. Lewis is going to barehand it throw, but not in time. It gets by Brown. This is trouble. Atkinson is rounding third. He's coming towards home. He will score with ease. The throw never came, and it bounced into the Molino dugout. And it was the other Molino hitter who moves on to second. So not the start the Trojans were looking for, but they had this exact same issue on Tuesday against Annalee, an unearned run given up by the Trojans, and then they went on to dominate the Tigers after that. but obviously not the start they were looking for. Just seemed like a painless walk, but then a little bouncer, and Lewis, the freshman, probably made the poor decision to barehand it, try to make a spectacular play. It was rather wild. First pitch is in there for a strike.
It's focusing on the fence.
Batter is Sam Kenny.
Hey, nothing surprised you get fight in there, eh? Fight. Here we go. Battle.
You got that. Just up there.
You got 0-2. Off speed was a really nice pitch, and it just missed low to Coach Salvatella's displeasure in the Trojan dugout. He's done a great job in his second year. So 1-2 here. But we're in bad needs of an ounce. A tough start for the Trojan ace. He's had an up and down year. He's had a lot of tough luck losses. He really pitched his best game last time up, as this one is fouled back out of play. Against the Serra Padres, the 12th ranked team in the state, he was really masterful throughout. The stat line might not look as good, but he's facing one of the best hitting teams and only gave up 3 earned runs in 5 innings and was really in control for most of the game. Did have 1 inning that went awry where he gave up the 3 runs, but besides that, he was good, and the off speed there was nasty and got the Lions swinging 1 out. Overall, he...
Now batting, first baseman number 18, Kurt Lewis.
Stuff it. Hand it to him. Right up the middle, 1-8. Right up, send it right back.
The issue is he's still there, so it needs we need to move it down there, yeah, on the other side of the
Try it.
Oh, no, it will not. Yeah, do that. 0-2 here to the number 4 batter. Still working out some gimmicks here on the top of the first, but we'll calm down, and hopefully Burwer will as well. That one is bounced back to Burwer. He can't get to it. Slate makes the out at first, and the Lion runner advances to third, 2 down. Well, good to get Wilson Metz out, who's batting .489 on the season. And now here is the Gargantuan. Looks like Aaron Judge out there, Shane Spellman. I don't have his height, but it's got to be around 6'8". Second baseman and pitcher, a senior for the Lions. He is massive. Burr's got 2 outs, trying to get out of this inning with only 1 given up and give the poisoned offense for the Trojans a chance. 0-1. That one in there for a strike. First, El Molino batter reached on a walk, and then Garrett Lewis on a little just swinging a ball that died in the infield. Tried to make a barehanded throw to first to get the out on the second batter. Threw it over Sam Brown's head. The runner scored. And that batter advanced to second, then advanced to third on the ground out. And that's where he is now with 2 outs. That one is fouled off. Still 0-2.
You got it?
Yeah. Nick, give me a Gatorade too, please. Win this thing, big guy. You can do this. Come on, bud.
very vocal El Molino dugout. They're playing with a lot of confidence right now. Haven't lost in nearly a month. A bounce backer right to Slate. Ending over. Well, Burwer gets out of it with one unearned on no hits. And the Trojan bats will come up, but it's going to be tough sledding against some good El Molino pitchers. We'll be back in just a moment. Now you can stop recording and just switch the edit stop. Yeah, I would say zoom in a little bit more. I typically zoom in about, in there. I typically go about there, and then as the pitch comes, it just pans there, and then if a ball's hit, go there, and then especially if something hits the outfield, you want to zoom in on it, and it might have to be sort of quick.
Defensively for the Lions in right field is number 11, Aaron Daniels. Center fielder is number 8, Andy Young. In left field is number 4, Cole Van Stone. At third base is number 10, Wesley Hammer. At shortstop is number 1, Patrick Atkinson. Your second baseman is number 15, Shane Spellman. Over at first base is number 18, Kurt Lewis. Catching is number 2, Jordan Hamner. And on the mound today for the Lions is number 6, Jeff Bella.
He's gonna get it when he gets the hot dog.
And then if you want to zoom in on the picture sometimes like that, that's not a bad idea. Oh. Can you find a way so my papers don't blow away, but I can see them?
Go Elmo, 3 up, 3 down. Talk to each other, help each other out.
Leading off bottom half, first inning for the Trojans. Your left fielder number 12, Danny Marzo.
Let's go, Marzo.
Down and ready, down and dirty, Rag. Here we go. Go, Jack, right to the glove, buddy. Right to the glove now. Go, kick. Deep breath.
Welcome you back here to Abbey Field. Danny Marzo leading off for the Trojans in the bottom of the first. He is facing off against Jack Bell, the ace for the Lions. He's a 1.45 ERA, 19.1 innings pitched. He's another long senior for the Lions. They had a lot of big kids on this team. They built them big out in West County. That one misses outside to the talented Marzo. Marzo batting .341 on the year in the leadoff spot every game. 4 RBIs and 8 RBIs. He's had a very successful year. Once again for the Trojans. Batted even better. .478 last year. Dribbler to second base. And 1 down. The Trojans are going to be tested against Bell. He's a 1.45 ERA, as I just mentioned. And he's been pretty dominant the whole year against some good foes. Molino has almost worked their way through an FCL schedule undefeated. Just need to beat the Trojans and then Annalee to complete, or I'm sorry, they defeated Annalee to defeat Elsie to complete the first half undefeated. What a remarkable achievement that would be. And if the Trojans could not pull this one out, they would be very challenging for them to win an SCL title. Still in control of their own destiny as of today. Their 1 loss coming to Piner after the tournament, Boris tournament in Sacramento, the de facto state championship in regards. They played 4 games in 3 days, then just after 1 day off had to go up to Santa Rosa and play Piner on a drizzly drizzly morning the game started, and they really struggled, did not bring in, blown out 12-4 by a Prospectors team that's really improved, and their only loss is to El Molino so far this year. Slate ahead 2-0 early. Interesting decision by Coach Silvatella to move Slate back up, who'd been batting in the 8 hole of late. He's been in a little bit of a slump, only batting .286, which is low by his standards on the year. And he'd had Gallagher, who's been on fire, and we'll see a little later, in the 2 spot. That one catches the outside corner. Slate was taken all the way, works it to 3-1. Appreciate everyone joining us. Apologize for our difficulties this afternoon, but it is a glorious afternoon for baseball and a huge game between two really good teams. We're anticipating a great game as that one works it to 3-2. We anticipate it being a tight one, start to finish. A payoff pitch from Bell. Slate takes high. Was trying for some high heat there, and Slate was not interested.
Right fielder, number 16, Nick Andraken.
Here is Nick Andraken, the Trojans' big hitting left fielder, who can also pitch and play catcher as well. For the Trojans, batting .467 on the year, second out of anyone on the Trojans, only behind Gallagher. Led the team in hitting, or second in the team in hitting last year at .336. So only improved. 14 hits, 4 RBIs, 5 runs as well for the senior. Experience on El Molino, but it dwarfs to compare to what Petaluma has on their team, as Andraken takes high. 12 of the 18 returners on the Trojans and 11 seniors. More than half of their team. El Molino with 6 seniors. 1-1.
Be ready, Patty. Be ready. Here we go, guys. Go west.
And Draken just out of front of that one and rips it out of play towards the E-wing here at Petaluma High. 1-0, El Molino leads. Bottom of the first here, 1 out, 1-2. It's two of the top teams in SCL battle out. It'll go a long way to our deciding who takes the pennant. It's been 6 years since the Trojans have taken the pennant, and it's been 25 since El Molino has taken SCL. It'll be the last time these two teams will be in SCL and likely play each other with realignment next year. 2-2 as that one sailed on belly. Thanks. This one is hit in between the shortstop and third baseman. And after Slate walks, a base hit for Andraken, the first hit of the afternoon. And with the big hitters coming up for the Trojans, they have action on the base pass, exactly what you want against Belly. A quick start, don't let them get too confident. What a tear the sophomore Sam Brown has been on of late. .364 batting average, but 3 home runs already on the season, including 2 in his last 2 games. He launched one well over the center field fence towards the American flag at center, where he's hitting it now, except a lot shorter. Coming way in to make the catch is the center fielder, Kenny. And 2 down, but he launched that one about .360 probably against Annalee. And he hit one to right field. That was the go-ahead home run. It turned out being the winner against Sarah last week. But that time he got under it, and he's swinging big, feeling confident. Might have cost him there. So it's gone to 2 down. And here is freshman phenom Garrett Lewis. Yes, a sophomore and a freshman, but these might be the 2 biggest stars on the Trojans, even with all their senior experience. But it really feels like as Lewis just got a piece of that. Really feels like the right blend of experience and great talent on the young side for the Trojans that Lewis and Brown already verbally committed to Santa Clara College, D1 baseball, and Lewis probably is going to head to somewhere in D1 as well. And then you also have all the seniors. They might not go to play college for baseball, but they're extremely talented and have so much experience, with many of them going to the Little League World Series. Five of the seniors, in fact, back in 2012. As that one misses high. 2-1. Two out here, but the Trojans are runners in first and second. Swing and a miss by Lewis, who was thinking big once again, and he also hit a home run against Sarah last week. A 2-run mammoth shot over the left field fence and onto the football field. Lewis batting .438 on the season. That one just missed outside. Hamner, the catcher, was trying to frame it, but Blue didn't give him the call. So a full count here. And a big pitch coming up from Belly. Does not want to load the bases and give the Trojans more chances here. Lewis pops it sky high into the air and out of play down the first base line. And he'll get another chance. Slade on second, and Andraken on first. But an unearned run scored in the first as the Trojans trailing. They did it on Tuesday against Annalee, so they're no stranger to being behind and coming back. They did it against Sarah as well, as Lewis pops it up. Right fielder coming in, making the catch. The inning is over, and Al Molino gets out of the jam here. There is 2 left on, and no runs scored. It's Al Molino 1, Petaluma 0. We'll be back in just a moment.
Are you good at focusing cameras, Jordan? Can you please fix this for me?
That's what you have to do against the white ball.
Oh no, what happened? You disconnected something.
What do you want from it?
Yeah, make sure none of that comes out.
Oh.
Stop recording when it's the end. Did I get it? Did you get it? Just zoom out slightly and you're good. Perfect. That's perfect. Yeah. Oops. I didn't. Why it focus like that?
All right, about to start the top of the second here with the Trojans trailing 1-0. Getting the scoreboard up for you in the top left-hand corner. Feel free to leave any comments that you have. We got Warrior tuning in, as always, to this good one. Always appreciate him tuning in. He's wondering where Babe Ruth is. He's not out there, but Sam Brown's been playing like Babe Ruth of late, so be interesting to see his next at bat. Here is Aaron Daniels, the junior right fielder. A big swing and a miss. The wind has been wrecking havoc, both my papers and certainly going to have an impact on this game. At 20-mile-per-hour gusts, we had a couple storms come through of late, but everything is cleared out now, and it's a beautiful day. Picture perfect, about 75 degrees. Just a couple clouds as that one was fouled off the chest protector of Jack Gallagher, the Trojan catcher. 1-1. Okay. That one fouled back, and 1-2. Burr trying to rebound after that rough first inning. Just getting out ahead of it was Daniels. But the off-speed so far for Burr has been working very effectively. And now Molino has been way out ahead of it, expecting more fastballs. 33 runs the Lions have plated on the SCL season, as that one misses low, only giving up 7 runs. 105 runs in total by the Lions on the season, only giving up 28 on a 6-game winning streak. That just shows you the dominance they have of late. They just have been completely in control of everyone they have played for the most part. They do have that 2 close wins against Annalee and Piner 2-1, but besides those 2, they're really not playing a lot of close games. So if this one is close, maybe that could impact things. Coming off a 2-1 victory against Healdsburg on Tuesday. And just battling here, and the Lions have done a really good job of battling. They scored a scrappy under run in the first, and they're showing why they belong here. This is just a scrappy ball club. Fouling off balls, making the pitchers work, getting into the bullpen. It's a recipe for success. Off speed is nasty from Burr. The backwards K froze Daniels. 1 gone.
Now batting left fielder, number 4.
Trojans are 7-4-1 overall on the season. And they've done it with their hitting, batting .340 on the year. But the pitching has been good as well, 2.98 ERA. It's just not deep, which is the concern that if they get tired, and was a big problem against Piner, and we mentioned that loss, they did not have pitching left. And they really ran out of people they could go to. That one misses low, so it's 1-1. 1 out here. And now Molino leading 1-0 in the top of the second. The Lions continuing to make noise from their dugout. I'm not sure if they're imitating lions or what exactly they're trying to do. Getting Blake Burr's head, but Burr is firing strikes right now, and he's in a much better rhythm than the first when he looked like he felt the nerves a little bit. And a lot of his starts, he'll give up runs early and then settle down. Did it against Wood Creek in the Trojans 2-1 loss in the Bourse opener. Gave up 2 runs in the first inning. Never gave up any, but he was the tough luck loser. Similar situation to Drake, though all 3 of those runs were unearned, like today. That one is fouled back by McMenny, junior first baseman. One and 2. And this one is hit right to Bradley Smith in right field. Made an odd-looking catch. Or, I'm sorry, Andraken in right. Made an odd-looking catch, sort of a jumping catch. But it was an easy one nonetheless. And there's 2 down.
Your designated hitter.
Hit hard, but just got under it.
Stringfellow.
Here is Wyatt Stringfellow for El Molino, junior outfielder. And a big swing and a miss on the first pitch from Burr. When he can work the fastball with such great speed and then have the off-speed working as well, it's really a weapon and really challenging. If you're an opposing batter, as that one was low and Gallagher couldn't handle it. Back to the backstop, 1-1. Trojans fielding mentioned hasn't improved so far this year. Up about 14% on fielding, 14% better in their fielding percentage. Just 15 errors so far this year. And a couple by the freshman Lewis in a couple of his first games. They sacrificed a little bit of his early fielding wells for his hitting. He was on fire early in the year. He's calmed down a little bit of late, but they have appreciated his big hitting. That one was just sort of knocked down the line. Foul, 1 and 2 here. 2 outs. Burr trying to get out of this inning, 1-2-3. But El Molino's doing the whole thing. Even if this is a 1-2-3 inning, they've really battled. And it's going to be a long one for Burr. This has to be about 20 pitches already. And it's going to be very hard for him to go this full game. That one just missed low. Gallagher was ready to walk back to the dugout with a 1-2-3 inning, but with a smile, he throws it back to Burrer. Gallagher gets the symbol from assistant coach Martin Nadal from the Trojans bench, gives it to Burrer, and the pitch from Burrer is fouled back out of play. 2-2, 2 outs. No traffic on the bases. Burrer still has not given up a hit. It was an unearned run in the first. A walk and an error. This one is popped up. Burrer in foul territory almost ran into Stringfellow, and he can't make the catch. And you could have arguably called interference on that. He's not, umpire will not, but Stringfellow sort of made an attempt to get out of the way, but I don't think he had a great desire to just let Burrer have an easy race to the ball. And Burrer had to hesitate a little bit and couldn't get to it in foul territory in time. So 2-2. That one catches the outside corner. Another backwards K for Burrer. 2 strikeouts in that inning. No hits or runners allowed. On to the bottom of the second. It's El Molino 1, Petaluma nothing. Feel free to leave comments on our live chat. We'll try to get to them as soon as possible. Appreciate everyone tuning in. And I don't know how well you can see me right now, but Griffin Epstein joining you on this beautiful afternoon from Abbey Field, live here as 2 top SCL contenders are duking it out and are going a long way toward deciding who takes the final SCL pennant. Final year of SCL. We've only got about less than a month more of SCL play in all these sports before the Sonoma County League, which has been around for nearly 100 years, will finally end. A little bit remarkable if it's an end of an era here. And this is going to be, so far, a good one between 2 good teams. Burrer really looked good in that second inning. When we expect more success from him, the Trojans are going to have to find a way to get hits against Belly. They did get 2 on late there, but Jack Belly is an outstanding pitcher, and he's going to be very hard to get around for the Trojans. But the Trojans have shown against some elite pitchers this year that they can scrape across enough runs, so they have lost a couple of pitchers' duels, mentioned to Wood Creek, also to Drake earlier on in this season. Apologize for no scoreboard today. We've been having an issue with that, so we'll be giving you the score as much as humanly possible. Bottom of the second here, and leading off for the Trojans is the senior center fielder Kempton Brandis, who has been hitting very well of late, including 2 RBIs and 2 runs against Sarah in that exciting victory last Thursday. And if you missed that victory for the Trojans over the 12th ranked team in the state, as that one nearly hit Brandis. If you missed that game, you can watch the full one on our YouTube channel, complete with play-by-play and interviews after the game. It was a big thriller. Talking to Jack Gallagher's parents before the game, and I know they were. Dad told me he watched it about 3 times. The game Jack had, it doesn't surprise me, as that one misses low, and Belly quickly behind 2-0 to Brandis. Senior center fielder batting .316 on the year. A little bit down from last year, .373, but he's been moved back in the lineup. He's an outstanding fielder. He's had to sacrifice some plate appearances with Brown and Lewis Ascension, though Brown was on the team last year. That is ripped right to the first baseman. Probably beat our camera. Kurt Lewis at first base makes the catch. It was right to him, but good reaction time by him. And there is 1 out. Here is Smith. Trojan senior, big cat, and he's the size. Try to counter the El Molino hulking giants that they have. And he has some power as well for the Trojans, who've had definitely a power surge so far this year. 6 home runs. They only had 1 home run last year. And Smith really had his his blast earlier on in the year. He has 2 home runs. They were in the first couple games. He had a moonshot against Tam and also hit one against Drake in the opener, as that one is fouled back. 1-1 here and 1 out. El Molino, according to Max Preps, ranked 284 in the state. Trojans currently 157, though they just beat the 12th ranked team in the state, so might be a little low. That one misses outside, 2-1. Max Prep's computer algorithm has them at 5th in NCS, but they've actually dropped, largely due to just their SCL schedule, and some of those teams aren't as strong. The NCS committee is not a computer, so they'll take into account more their victory over Sarah, and they got a couple other good scheduled games still coming up and some proving to do that they belong as one of the top teams in NCS, and they played with a lot of the top teams, including Alameda. They're going to play, they just recently scheduled this game, and it's 3-1. They're going to play Alameda on May 2nd down in the East Bay, currently ranked number 1 and undefeated in NCS Division II, as Smith swings, pops it up, center fielder going over, right fielder going over, it's off the wall! Smith into second for a stand-up double, and he crushed that one. If it had been hit to a shorter part of the ballpark, it might have been gone. It kept on carrying, and neither center fielder or right fielder able to get it. Hit right below the 351 mark, the deepest part of the ballpark, on the wall. And with Belly struggling to get a little bit of his control, you felt like the Trojans could take advantage of that, and indeed they have. And here is Gallagher, who has been, as we mentioned, absolutely on fire. Batting .480 on the season, and he takes the first pitch right to the third baseman, who makes the throw. Smith runs over to first and gets by the third baseman. Smith is going to race towards home, and he's in safely, and we've got a tie ball game. 2 unearned runs by both teams. You know the nerves are out there, and it was really great base running by Smith as he was looked back to second by the third baseman Wesley Hamner for the Lions, but as soon as the throw went, he decided to go and was able to make it, was going to make it in time no matter if the throw had been on time, but probably not a smart throw. Unable to make the catch there, and it got by the third baseman. And Smith's able to come around and score on the air. So 1-1 here in the bottom of the second, 2 outs now, nobody on. But the Trojans have quickly tied it back up, and here's Sam Jacobs batting in the 9-hole and playing short today. Speedy and good defensive player. Hasn't done a lot with the bat so far this year, batting .143. A 200 on base percentage. First pitch misses outside by Pelly. Both pitchers have pitched well, but a couple of mistakes on the infield have been costly for both. You have to be darn near perfect if you want to go scoreless against these 2 strong hitting teams. That one in their first strike. 1-1. Trojans 389 on base percentage. They reach base a lot, and we mentioned both at Draken and Gottschall reach over half the time they're up to bat. That was an awkward-looking throw by Hamner at third, but they get the out on Jacobs, and the inning is over. We've reached the end of 2 here. The Trojans score an unearned run to tie this one up. Smart base running by Bradley Smith after his double gets us to a 1-1 score. We'll head to the third here. Blake Burrer pitching well so far for the Trojans. Really looked good in that second inning after giving up the unearned run in the first. The Trojans fielding normally reliable, but the error charged to Lewis on that throw in the first. scored the El Molino run, but that El Molino was also pitched. El Molino, who's also been fielding very well, made a costly error there in the second that got the Trojans tried it up, but credit to Smith for getting the double. They got things happening. We will also be live streaming next Friday when the Trojans take on the Pioneer Prospectors. You mentioned Pioneer sitting in second place. Their only loss in SCL is to El Molino, and the Trojans lost to them earlier, so they'll be looking for revenge both in that game and a chance, if they can win this one, to move into a tie. A three-way tie it would be for first place in SCL. Before that, they'll be here at home against lowly LC Allen. Coach Salvatella having a conversation now with the El Molino manager, new manager Justin Lewis. He's having a long conversation after Smith scored the run. I'm not sure why, but he's headed back to the dugout now. And now Molino will send up the top of the order, and Patrick Atkinson, and we mentioned batting .636 on the season. Yes, he's only a sophomore. No, he hasn't been batting like sporadically. He's everyday starter, and he is hitting at a Babe Ruthian level. So Warrior want to see Babe Ruth. He might have it at Patrick Atkinson. Playing short today for the Lions. Also playing second. And a big swing and a miss there, the high heat. Quickly behind 0-2. Justin Lewis, the new coach for the Lions. They had a coach for the last 4 years, but he left, and Lewis took over. I don't think the expectations were high, but so that one's in their 1-2. They have the right experience, some talented players, and Lewis really stepped up. He changed the program at El Molino. They did a lot of conditioning, really went out and expected to win. A little bit more open SCL than in years past, as that one misses high. Helped as well. They won some early games and got confidence, and they've gotten production for both hitting and pitching. 2-2 now. Annalee, who's normally really the class of SCL, down this year, lost a lot of seniors. This one is popped up out of play behind me. 2-2. Joining you live here on a beautiful Friday afternoon. El Molino Lions, Petaluma Trojans. One of the better crowds I've seen for this one. A lot of students, fans, parents, community members out for this one from Petaluma. A good number of El Molino fans made their way south for this big one. That one just misses low, 3-2. Burr snaps in frustration. He thought that one caught the outside corner. Instead of full count. El Molino dugout taunting him. The payoff pitch to Atkinson. He went around. Third strikeout of the afternoon for Burr, and so far he's looked in the zone. Early walk, throwing air cost them, but so far no hits allowed and one walk. One error as well. So now we're back to the top of the order, and Jordan Hamner walked and scored in that first inning. As we mentioned, that one misses outside, 1-0. Talking about some of the early schedule for the Trojans. Their first SCL victory was over Sonoma Valley, an easy 8-2 victory. Then defeated Annalee 6-1 on Tuesday, as that one's there for a strike. The loss to Pioneer, so haven't played a lot in SCL yet, just with some rainouts and some schedule changes. But it's a pretty busy schedule all the way through May. Finish SCL on the 11th at LC of May, so it's about in a month. So that one catches the outside corner, 1-2. Regular season finishes up a day later at Casa Grande. The Egg Bowl in baseball, it's going to be a big one. We'll be there on the 12th. Time is called by Hamner. That's a makeup. That was originally going to be in March, but it got rained out. And they did play Casa Grande in the Boars Classic at Sacramento State. Defeated them 7-2. And moved on to the Constellation Championship game where they lost to San Benito 6-5. That hit the hand of Hamner, who never really seemed very interested in getting out of the way of that one. just let it hit the pinky. I think that hurts anyways. He's taking off his glove, but he reaches, and Burr a little bit annoyed about that one. Just got away from it. But that's how you do it if you're a scrappy baseball team like these Lions. So here's Wesley Hamner, who reached on that air. Burr digs in again. It's already been a long day for him. Throws back to Hamner. He checked on him about 4 times in the first inning, so expect some more of that with the Lions always threatening to steal. 41 stolen bases so far this season. Again, after that pitch high, Gallagher just took a look back down. Gallagher's done a good job behind the plate catching stealers. Potential base stealers. 9 out of 13 catching stealers. This one's driven back into left. Still going back at the wall. And did he make the catch? No, he didn't. Marzo did not hold on. And heading into third safely is Atkinson. Hamner has a long double. Marzo almost made a spectacular basket catch at the warning track, but he could not hold on. And that breaks up the no-hitter. Now Molino's got something going here in the third. Here's Sam Kenny. Fly down in the first. A sac fly could potentially score one if it's deep enough, though. Good arms all around from the Trojans. Marzo in left, Brandis in center, and then Drake in right. Sam Brown at first is a swing there low, getting out of the way of it was Kenny, but no threat of anyone to run. Gallagher got to it. 1-1. Brown is at first, Slade at second, Sam Jacobs at short, and Garrett Lewis is at third. That's a nice pitch by Burr on the outside corner. Throws Kenny. 1-2. Look back at second by Burr. The off speed is absolutely absurdly nasty. On the inside corner, there was not much you could do about that by Kenny, even though his coaches were telling him he's got to swing. That one was spiraling and dicing, seemingly way inside to catch the inside of the strike zone, and did not have the speed of the fastballs that Burr has been throwing, which have been fast today. Some serious heat. That one misses low. Kurt Lewis digs in, batting .516 on the year, the number 4 batter for the Lions. 1-0. 2 down. Runners at second and third. Burr trying to get out of a double that he gave up to the wall. Quickly behind 2-0, though. Trojans trying to get an important victory here to get back the SCL title conversation. This was a big one. Now, Molino actually had an article in the Press-Democrat this morning in the paper. Kerry Benefield with a nice article on the Lions' resurgence. They're making a lot of noise. This would be the biggest win of their season, no doubt, if they could take this one. Swing and the miss there, and it's 2-1. Burr looks in, the set, takes a look back at second, the pitch.
Nice pitch, Blake.
In there for a strike on the inside corner. Worked into 2-2. Been catching the corners when he really believes himself, throws his stuff out there. Burr is one of the best pitchers in the North Bat, you have to say, but points he could suffer from a lack of confidence or just not finding his spots.
Oh yeah. Oh.
That looked like he found his spot, but they call it just low. Burr's hat falls off in disbelief at that call. Full count. And a big one here. Not wanting to load the bases and give a pointed Lions lineup more opportunity here. Payoff pitch. Popped up and out of play down the first base line. Lions have been battling all afternoon long. They're not going to go down with a fight.
All right, Curtis, what do you say? Right up the middle.
So another payoff pitch coming here from Lewis. Or I'm sorry, from Berber to Lewis. And now Lewis was trying to call time, but he's happy that the umpire didn't grant it to him because that pitch was low. Signaled his hand back to the umpire, wanted to step out, but it was too late. Burr was in his windup, and I don't know what he was trying to do. Bounced out at the plate.
Second baseman number 15, Shane Spellman.
Bases are loaded for Shane Spellman. Look out for the lengthy second baseman. Takes the first pitch up the middle to Jacobs. He'll take the force at first. Good play. Jacobs to Slate, not panicking and getting it in plenty of time. And through a couple walks and a double, or a hit batter, a walk and a double, the Trojans get out of it with no runs allowed. Blake Burr survive in advance so far. He's had his good stuff, but El Molino's found ways to cause trouble on the base pass. But anyways, we head to the bottom of the third, tied at 1. Welcome back here, bottom of the third, as Jack Belly heads back out for the Lions. Also pitched well so far, got the unearned run in the first inning, just allowed 1 hit so far, or 2 hits so far, for a Trojan lineup that really can mash. Last year, the Trojans were 18-10, 10-2 in SCL, finished second, only could not beat Annalee, and then lost in the quarterfinals of NCS against Ukiah. This year, much higher expectations with all the returners. Last year, Coach Selvatel's first year, a little bit of transition year, had some talent, knew they were good, but they have a lot more higher expectations. They did lose a lot of relievers, and as we mentioned, that's been the issue for the Trojans, pitching depth and relief, and how they've worked around that, especially in the late innings, has cost them a couple times in some of their losses. A 5-5 tie to Redwood. They blew a lead in that one. Mentioned they lost a tight one to Drake 3-1. But they've also won some close games. Walk-offs against San Lorenzo and Tamalpais to come from behind victories. And 2 of their best victories this season in the Boris Classic against Carmon and Casa Grande. 7-4, 1 overall. They really scheduled very well, though, so it'll be interesting to see with some of those losses, but to really elite teams, will they get the respect from the NCS committee when they're seeded? They'd love to be in that top 4 so they can get guaranteed a second home game for the quarterfinals of NCS if they win in the first round. Danny Marzo will lead off top of the order here for the Trojans. Bottom of the third, as that one misses low. Tied at 1 here. Marzo flied out on the first. He was the ace last year for the Trojans. Instead of Burr, as he swings and drives this one into the right center gap. Left fielder can't get to it. Marzo on his horse to second in time for a stand-up double. That was what you want to see from Marzo. Going right over the middle of the plate, and he took it right into the gap, right into the sweet spot of 336 sign. Roll to the warning track and an easy leadoff double. And the Trojans have something going here in the third. Here is Slate, who Salvatella trusts in this big one to move up back into the 2 spot, the senior. And he reached with a walk in the first. Six on 160-pound senior second baseman. That one misses outside. 365 slugging percentage for Slade. It's bit of struggle at times. He's fantastic, though, with the glove. Maybe one of the key catches against Sarah last week, a diving catch in foul territory. I highly recommend going on our YouTube channel and watching that one. If you haven't seen it, he pops this one up into center. The catch is made. Marzo thought about tagging, but it was a really good jump on it by the center fielder, and Marzo probably would have been out by a mile. Smart to go back. So 1 down. Slate's sliding catch against Sarah in foul territory with the bases loaded. Blake Burr had gone out of the 4th inning with the bases loaded and nobody out. First pitch of the next inning, Garrett Lewis launched a solo home run over the left field fence, and the Trojans' offense was on from there, but it really felt like Slate's defensive play ignited the Trojans. He can be a spectacular defensive player. He's made some spectacular plays over the course of his Petaluma High career. First pitch is high to Nick Andraken. Jack Belly's worked around some trouble, and how about that side armor there? That was nice from Belly on the outside corner. 1-1. And Draken had the first base hit of this game of the first inning. He pops this up to left field. Coming in, making the catch. And there's 2 down. So Marzo with the leadoff double, with the Trojans not able to so far do anything with that. Setting's gone quickly. Feels like Sam Brown's got to get a couple hits every game the way he's been playing of late, and maybe hit one over the fence. This would be a good time for it. What's been a tense game so far. Brown averaging .364 on the year, but he's really heated up of late. 3 home runs in his last 2 games, and a .381 on-base percentage. That one misses high. Brown's 6'2", 210. No, doesn't look like a sophomore, but he was this tall as a freshman, and when I first saw him, I thought he had to certainly be an upperclassman, but he's blessed with being tall and big, similar to Bradley Smith, and can really help with some power. They have intentionally walked Sam Brown. An interesting decision there. And you wonder how Garrett Lewis feels about this. Bradley Smith saw Andraken intentionally walk before him and hit a walk-off against San Lorenzo, in part because he was just so upset about being intentionally walked to. That could really motivate a player. And Lewis lines it up the middle, through the gap. Here comes Marzo around third, charging hard. The throw not in time. Marzo scores. The Trojans have the lead. Throw over to first, and they get Brown at third for the 3rd out of the inning. But Marzo will score, and the Trojans take a 2-1 lead. And the Lions pay. See ya. Good luck tonight. Lions pay for intentionally walking Sam Brown as Lewis comes up with the clutch RBI base hit up the middle. Not a smart decision by Brown to try to add an extra base. He was out by a mile, but the Trojans take the lead nonetheless. Danny Marzo with the leadoff double, the key there. So Burr heads back up to the mound with the first time with the lead. Just had Luca DeBono, a couple other varsity boys lacrosse players exit to head up to their game up in Windsor tonight. The undefeated varsity boys lacrosse team taking on the Jaguars, as the team is trying to win just the 2nd league title in school history. Last one won 3 years ago, and they have been played superb so far. Meanwhile, the varsity baseball team trying to do the same thing as well, take an SCL title. It's a must-win here, and he felt the tension for both teams. Biggest game in baseball in a long time for El Molino, and you can tell that they were feeling it for this one. Some nerves, but a lot of energy as well. But the Trojans know how important this one is. The loss to Piner earlier really gave them no room for air, and they made a couple mistakes as well. But the Trojans are able to get the big hit by Lewis that gives them the 2-1 lead here. And the way Burr is pitching, as long as he can avoid too much traffic on the base pass, that has been the issue. His stop has been really good. And it's caught that El Molino's been off balance for certain. They keep that going. It feels like Trojans have a good shot at victory this afternoon.
Leading off top half of the fourth, right fielder number 11, Aaron Daniels.
I think Teddy Critchett on camera as well for this afternoon. So Aaron Daniels leads it off for the Lions, the junior right fielder. That one is fouled off down the first base line. The set in the pitch is gotten under. It's again quickly out to Andraken. In right, he makes the catch. One down. So one out after the junior right fielder flied out. Here's the left fielder for the Lions, Cole Van Stone. And that was a quick out last time by Burr. He'd like to continue to do that. He's had a lot of long at-bats, really tired him. A lot of pitches expended, and obviously tiring for the Trojan ace. We mentioned the lack of depth in Trojan bullpen. He'd like to go as long as possible, especially with LC Allen coming up on Tuesday. The Trojans will expend anyone they need for this one, but they did just use Andraken and Marzo on Tuesday against Annalee, but save Burr. 0-2 now to Van Stone. Just misses high. No runners on, one out, 2-1 Trojans lead. Top of the fourth, off speed, sailed on Burr. No action in the pen, so Trojans might try to go with Burr as long as until his arm practically falls off. 2-2. That one is popped up into center. Brandis over to his left, makes the catch. 2 down. And the off-speed and the variation between the off-speed and the heat has worked for Burr. Lines have gone either later out in front of things, popped up a lot, and the good contact has been able to get base runners. And good contact and patience are a sign of a good baseball team, but it's hard to get too many runs if the pitcher's really on. Burr needs to fix his hat or something. It keeps on falling off. It has fallen off again, but he pitches a first pitch strike to Wyatt Stringfellow. Shows the bunt, and he does lay down a bunt, trying to chest the Trojan infield, but that was not the best bunt that Stringfield's ever laid down. Right back to Burr. That was a very quick 1-2-3 inning, and Coach Shelvadella is very happy about it, fist bumping Burr and cheering as he comes off the mound. On to the bottom of the fourth. It's the Trojans 2. It's the Lions 1. So welcome back into the broadcast booth here with the Trojans up 2-1, and we'll see how long Burr can go. Can the Trojans ride them to a low-scoring victory? Obviously, they're going to try to get some more runs on the board. Garrett Lewis with the key RBI single last inning, but there's really nowhere to hide up and down this lineup for the Trojans, with the exception of maybe the 9-hole and Jacobs, who's not much of a hitter. Pretty much everyone else on the Trojans really can rake and really can get good contact and get hits and have batted well for the majority of this season. So it's going to be very hard for Jack Belly to keep this up. And one weakness for El Molino is they have not faced this level of hitters, and their schedule has been rather weak, so they haven't had to face a lot of elite batters up and down the lineup and not have places to hide, which obviously does influence their numbers. Pitchers are averaging 1.74 ERA for El Molino to 443 batting average, and they're reaching base 52% of the time. Obviously, when you're doing that, you're not always facing the best teams, so that is most definitely a part of things.
Leading off bottom half of the fourth for the Trojans, center fielder number 3, Captain Brandis.
Brandis leading off for Petaluma. We are into the bottom of the fourth. This slow-moving affair is turning into a Friday evening. That one misses high. It's been a fun one so far. Two good teams really wanting it. You've felt the importance of this one. First pitch was high. The Trojan lengthy senior. Another one misses. It's been the weakness for Bellies. Fallen behind a couple times in the counts. Issued a couple walks. And really made things interesting for the Lions with runners on the base pass. 2-0. Brandis batting .316 on the year, .473. Slugging percentage. Not the most patient batter, only reaches .325 OPB and only one walk, yet he's ahead here 3-0. He's definitely more than the more aggressive batters on the Trojans, and can't be happy if you're a Lions fan with Belly's control here. Able to catch one in there, and Brandis wasn't even sure about that one, but he's had a large strike zone, and he gives it to him. The 3-1 is popped up into right, going back at the wall. It is gone! Captain Brandis, a solo home run out of here in right field, and a long, happy gait around the bases, and he gets a standing O from the crowd as he has launched a solo home run to give the Trojans some insurance here. We talked about he swings a lot, he's aggressive, but he hadn't had a home run in his high school baseball career until now, and the power for the Trojans, their newfound home run hitting power has suddenly been showcased. 1 home run last year, make it now 7 this year. This high school average for all teams across the nation is only 3. And the Trojans have shown that their strength might be blasting balls over the fence. They're definitely not a small ball team. They hit a lot of extra base hits. A .459 slugging percentage overall for them, which takes into account those extra base hits and home runs, as that one misses low. 17 doubles before coming in today, and 2 triples. So they blast a lot of balls out of here all the way to the fence. Already saw Smith hit one a good at .330, and that one by Brandis must have been about 350, nearly made it into the street. 2-0, Smith up here early. And it was really Belly's lack of control to Brandis that really got him behind. He put a favorable pitch up there because he just needed to get back in the strike zone, and Brandis took it the other way. That one catches the strike zone. He's finally gotten something here. But you wonder if Molino's going to start to get the pen up here and try to get some action. Need some relief right now, someone with a little better control to quell the Trojans and keep them in striking range for the Lions to potentially pounce in the late innings against some weaker bullpen for the Trojans. Danny Marzo likely would come in relief. He's been really good at times, and he's really struggled at times. He's inconsistent, and that's sort of the reason they moved him out of the ace role from last year and into the relief role. They're hoping he'd be more consistent as a big swing and a miss by Smith. He's been a little bit more consistent this year, but doesn't mean he's still susceptible. 1.58 ERA so far this year, 13 innings pitched, compared to a 2.53 ERA from last year. Payoff pitch here to the big cat. And that one bounced practically in the grass. And Belly continues, and not to my surprise, here comes Justin Lewis. And we might be getting some relief or just taking some time until the Lions are ready, as Belly has started to lose his control, command, and his moxie that he had the first couple innings, really causing the Trojans to struggle. He's lost his command. He's not out yet. They're going to have a conversation with him. Smith will now be on first here, with Trojans leading 3-1 here in the bottom of the fourth. Trying to go to 8-4 overall. 3-1 in SCL. Mentioned they have that tie against Redwood. They are going to make that up, so they won't have a tie left in their original record. Scheduled it on Monday, May 7th to face Redwood. So they'll finish in the 9th inning there. Gallagher coming up next, and they're going to leave Belly in there for now to face maybe the most dangerous batter right now in the Trojans' order. Jack Gallagher has just been on another planet. He's been a strong hitter throughout his life. Once hit 3 home runs in a Little League game. I got the pleasure of being on the same Little League team as him once, so got to know him well. And leading the team in batting average, second in on-base percentage, only behind Nick Andraken on the team, .533, so reaching over half the time. And yet he wasn't even on varsity last year. Called up for the 2 NCS games the Trojans played, but did not play in them. He's on a very good JV team. Shows bunt here, potentially wanting to advance the runner. Pulls back, and running is Smith, and easily making it in time. The Lions were totally not ready for it. Seeing the bunt, they pulled in, and obviously that was the strategy from Coach Shelvatel, and a very smart one. Lay down the bunt, or show the bunt. It pulled the fielders in, and there was no chance that Shane Spielman, the second baseman for the Lions, was going to be able to get over to second in time to catch Smith, even though he's not the fastest runner. And now in scoring position. And it's effectively a bump, but without the out. So 1-1 now. Still no outs. And Belly's looking to the dugout, wondering when is he going to come out. Because he can't last a lot longer for Justin Lewis's ball club. That one catches the outside corner, 1-2. And that would be very helpful for the Lions. Try to avoid a crooked number, which the Trojans are threatening to put up in this inning. Get a lot of security. Takes a look back at Smith. It's not much of a speed threat. And Gallagher pops this up into right. It's a very long run, diving and making a spectacular catch. They just threw it away. At second, I don't know what they were doing, but a spectacular catch in right field by Wyatt by Aaron Daniels, the right fielder. It felt like Gallagher really got under it, but he didn't get maybe as much of that ball as it seemed like with the contact. It was dying quickly, and Daniels able to make a wonderful diving catch, likely saved a run. Smith had to race back to second, and then they almost threw the ball away there. So 1 out, and Devin Gottschall is going to come in and pitch hit here. For Sam Jacobs, Gottschall's not going to continue at shortstop, so we'll likely get a double switch here coming up in the next inning. They throw back to Smith, who was sauntering towards third. And it's very surprised that Belly remains in there. But maybe having confidence in their senior ace, that he can stay in there and last a little longer, give them a couple more innings. Now they throw back to second again. Smith easily back in, but Smith's sort of testing fate. He's definitely not the base stealer or guy that can get back really fast. He's 6'3" and 218 pounds. First stolen base of this year. Last year had just 2. He's also been dealing with Gottschall pops this up into right, and again, Daniels is going to have a much easier time. No, he's not going to have a much easier time. He dropped it. Going to second is Gottschall. He's in there safely. Smith is the third. And the issue there for Daniels was, even though he's in a similar place, he went right into the shadow as he was trying to catch that ball. And going into the sun, into the shadows of those trees down the right field line can really be an issue. And I don't think he saw it well. And it was sort of an awkward position, and he couldn't hold on. I haven't seen what the score has ruled it just yet. But likely an error Gottschall reaches on, and suddenly with one out, the Trojans have a chance to do something more here. That one nearly got away from Belly. It was a good stop by Wilson Metz to be able to get it. And Gottschall, who had pitch hit, will now be re-entered by Sam Jacobs, which makes sense. A much faster runner. Sam Jacobs might be the fastest person in this Trojan ball club. Actually got, also like Gallagher, called up for NCS last year, and he got some action pinch running. Oh, Marzo smokes this one down the line. Smith will score. Here comes Jacobs to the plate. It was a good throw by Daniels, and a slower runner might not have been able to make it, but Jacobs is the one speedy junior, and he dives in safely. It's a 2-run single for Marzo, who smoked it down the line. He totally got that one. He was waiting on the fastball, and suddenly the Trojans have put up a 3 spot in this 4th inning. A very costly drop ball by Daniels, though granted he made a spectacular catch right before. And that's going to do it, and I think Justin Lewis is wishing he could have made this move a couple minutes ago. Belly's day is done. 5 runs given up. I don't think they're all earned. But the Trojans' bats finally got to him as he lost his command, and it was too much for him to handle. We'll have a pitching change here at Abbey Field. Petaluma Trojans 5, Molino Lions 1. Teddy, you want to share your thoughts on the game? All right. So pitching change here. Patrick Atkinson, we mentioned his batting exploits, batting .636 on the season. He's going to come in relief here. He's going to come in for relief here in the bottom of the 4th, hoping to limit the damage that has been done here with Marzo now at second and still just 1 out. We're getting an announcement on the PA about the wonderful barbecue that's been cooking up. Sounds delicious. We got a lot of food behind the backstop for this sunny day, and a lot of fans have been enjoying it. Almost completely full stands for this one, but a palpable disappointment on the Molino side. The moments of the last couple games. Atkinson still warming up before Slate will dig in after the Marzo 2-run double. Mention the boys lacrosse team. Girls lacrosse team will be at home tonight at Ellison Field taking on Windsor. It's a big one for them. They lost to Windsor narrowly in their last game, and they're hoping to rebound, maybe get a 2nd or 3rd place finish in NBL and get one of their best wins of the season. So we'll see how they do tonight against the Jaguars. The softball team heads up to Ukiah tomorrow. They had a disappointing loss on Tuesday to Annalee. They fell to the Tigers, were blown out thoroughly, and sort of a surprising loss. Though we knew Annalee and Petaluma would be the 2 best teams in SCL softball, but the Trojans were not a match, at least on Tuesday, for the Tigers. But you talk about the lack of depth of pitching for the baseball team. The softball team has it to the extreme. They have pretty much just had Rachel Bless and Maddie O'Keefe, both underclassmen, be the 2 Trojan pitchers for the year. They've sort of dealt with disaster on the pitching shield. Avis Chabot gone from Petaluma High after being the ace last year. And then Jaden Christ in the penultimate game of the varsity girls basketball season, injured severely. Her leg, a recurring injury she had, as Slate is digging in, and she's out for the season. So the softball team had to find new pitchers, and O'Keefe's done a great job, but they were not able to hold down the fort against Annalee. That was their first SCL loss, but they'll try to rebound back in May when we'll be live streaming that one. Slate has popped this one into right. Daniels, who's had quite an adventure over there this inning, will make that catch, and there's 2 down. So Marzo's at first, not second, so it was an RBI single, and 2 down for Andraken to dig in, who scored a run on 1 hit. And we'll see if Blake Berger comes back out for action in the 5th, but he's going to feel a lot better with a lot more security out there, and he hasn't gotten a lot of run support this year. We mentioned, is that first pitch in there for strike, mentioned that it's been a struggle, or just tough luck for Burr that he's been going up against the other team's ace, and the Trojans have not provided a lot of run support in a lot of his games, and because of that, he's 1-3 on the season. So his record doesn't look too pretty, but he's been the Trojan workhorse as that one misses high 1-1. 23 innings pitched for Burr coming in today, 3.35 ERA. The on-base percentage only .380 for the opposing batters. That one catches the strike zone 1-2, and a good start so far for Patrick Atkinson, only a sophomore, but he's quite a baseball player. Last year, Burr was a workhorse. 50 innings pitched was double more than any other Trojan pitcher, even though he wasn't the ace. He started 10 games. Oh, and that was a nasty side armor, which Atkins went to a couple times at that at-bat. And Draken ahead of it, and the inning is over. But the Trojans psyched for 3. It was the big inning crooked number they wanted to put up, and they did just that. We head to the 5th. It's Trojans 5, Molino 1. You guys want to join me for a quick interview? Sure. Yeah. Cool. All right, live interview. Just talking about the varsity softball team, and I don't know how the frame is looking, but whatever. Grace Giardelli joining me in a couple. I can't even see everyone. All right, you guys want to introduce yourself? India's somewhere there.
I'm India.
I'm Maddie King.
Grace Giardelli.
And you guys have had a up and down start to your season. A strong start to SCL, blew out Sonoma, but then a tough loss to Annalee on Tuesday. What are your feelings about the season so far?
You know what? We're going to roll over every single team now. Annalee was just a fluke. It was, we weren't even there, yeah.
We wanted to let Annalee win one for because they never win, so, but next one we're going to win. Yeah, we're probably just going to wreck everyone else.
It's literally just for NCS placement. We had to do a Bama Auburn thing where we
want to get a home game, and so we had to let Annalee take this one. But
yeah, just so that next time we can catch them by surprise and just wreck them.
I mean, every other game we've mercied in the league, so we had to keep them honest.
Yeah.
And you guys don't have a lot of pitching depth. I know that's been a little bit of a struggle this year. How you guys worked around that, knowing that that is a weakness on the team?
Taking it hard in the offense category.
Rock solid defense.
Honestly, Mandy's so raw. I didn't think she caught me by surprise. I'm like, dang, she's hecka good.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
The varsity softball team is always fun, that's for certain. Never a dull moment with them. They play with their hearts on their sleeves, an exciting style, and their interviews reflect that as well. Atkinson just pitched, now he's going to bat. As Burr goes in for his 5th inning of work. Atkinson's 2nd strike now on him. Batting .636, he reached on a hit batter in the 1st inning. And he just sort of tapped that one over to second. It was a low liner. It wasn't easy for Slate, but he was able to run it down. He's a strong fielder, as we mentioned. 1 down. Atkinson, nonetheless talented, and this is now the third time around in the order for El Molino. It feels like they've gone around a lot more, but it's just been that they've had so many long at-bats and have battled so much with just a couple base runners, and really worked up the pitch count that it's felt like they've been up to the plate for 2 millenniums more than the Trojans, who were a lot more aggressive. Back to the top of the order, Jordan Hamner batting .564 on the season. Second highest batting average on the Lions. Showed a bunt, pulled back. 2-1. El Molino has had great season, as we mentioned, 10-3, but a lot of the teams, if I want to rattle them off, is he has walked Hamner. A lot of the teams that I could mention just aren't the top teams. They did not schedule tough because they're not traditionally successful in baseball. Victors over Willett, St. Helena, Lower Lake, Kelseyville. Mentioned their losses are to Windsor, Fort Bragg, and Middletown. But as I mentioned, a little bit more impressive, their SCL and their wins over Sonoma, Sonoma and Piners. Still waiting to play Annalee, that West Coast rivalry game on Wednesday. And with Burwer seeming to lose his control a little bit, Coach Shelvatella is going to pay him a visit. 1 out, a runner on first who walked, and looking a little bit out of control the last couple batters. So 1-0. And this is Wesley Hamner batting in the 3-hole for the Lions. 0 for 2 today. Trying to get back in this game. Misses low, and the quick throw back was not the best throw by Jack Gallagher. Well fielded by Brown. Feels really similar to a mirror image of the game on Tuesday against the Annalee. Trojans fell behind an unearned run in the first, but chipped away. Couple nice innings, put up a couple runs, a few, won 7-1 against the rival Nemesis Tigers. Burwer has totally lost his control here, and there's no action in the pen. Not sure if I missed something earlier, but looks like he's clearly gotten tired. He just 4-pitched walked Hamner, and Coach Shelvatella is having a conversation with his assistant coaches right now. No action just yet, though, but it was 8 balls in a row that he's just thrown, which Kurt Lewis just told Sam McMiniman, who digs in. And this sort of just came out of nowhere for Burwer. Maybe it was the long rest that he had, as that one's in there for a strike, because Burwer really had been pitching well, but after that 3-run inning and with the pitching change, he was sitting on the bench, just sitting there for about 20 minutes, had to be, as that one's fouled back. And with it's been a long outing for him and a lot of pitches, he might have lost the endurance and control, and really great stuff that he'd had second inning through fourth. El Molino had gone very little against him, just 2 hits so far for the Lions. Takes a look back at second. The off speed is low, 1-2, but at least he's worked ahead of this count. See if Coach Shelvatella trusts his senior ace to keep on going. Justin Lewis did, and it was not the right decision. Belly gave up a couple key runs. That one is low, 2-2, 1 out. Petaluma Trojans leading the El Molino Lions here, 5-1 live from Abbey Field. This big SCL baseball battle between 2 of the top teams. Trojans, if they get a win, would be in a tie with Piner, half a game out of first place. Remain in control of their destiny for an SCL title. Off speed, missed, inside, to the shock of everyone here. I don't know where that missed. It was nasty. Might have been too nasty for the umpire. Instead, we have a full count, and this is a big one. El Molino can load the bases, all with walks here. Fans eagerly watch, and it's fouled back by McMinney. We've seen a lot of payoff pitches from Burr and a lot of foul back. They've struck it out sometimes, but we have to have 3 or 4 double-digit pitch count at bats. Burr takes a look back at second, and another payoff pitch is in there for a strike. They throw back to first to check on Hamner, but Burr gets a huge strike 3 for a second out in the inning, and McMinney trudged back to the bench, disappointed. That would have been a big opportunity for El Molino to load the bases with just 1 out. Instead, there's 2 down, and here's Kurt Lewis. It's still no action in the pen. Trojans need 7 more outs to close this out. Lewis fouls it straight back. He just missed it. Senior first baseman, batting .516 on the season. Another El Molino batter that has been on fire. Oh, and 1 the count. Trojans' upcoming schedule mentioned the home against Allen on Tuesday. And then it's Piner next Friday will be live. And then home against Sonoma Valley, a team they beat 8-2 on the road a week from Tuesday. So that one is in there for struck 1-1. Then they have a home and home with Healdsburg, the 25th at Healdsburg. Back home another Friday game here against the Greyhounds. That one just missed outside. 2-1. Mentioned they face Alameda. They just recently scheduled this one to face one of the top teams in the Bay Area, and the Hornets already beat Sarah, so they know they can beat anyone, and that would be a road game on the 2nd, and then at Annalee on May 4th. This one is a dribbler, or popped up, a shallow pop-up down the first base line. It was out of play, but Sam Brown made the catch. The inning is retired, and we're headed to the bottom of the 5th here. Trojans 5, El Molino 1. Want a quick interview, Whitaker, about golf?
Why not?
All right, Whitaker Ellis joining me here, one of the star varsity boys golfers. You guys are undefeated on your season, and you've had a very strong performance. How are you feeling about the season so far?
I think we're doing great so far. We're undefeated. Everyone's playing well. If we just continue what we're doing, no one can really stop us.
I know you had a tough injury during the basketball season, and yet you came right out, and you've been consistently the best golfer on the team. How are you able to get through your injury and are now producing really well?
I just kind of laid low, worked out my arm for a while, and it just kind of got back to 100% pretty quickly.
And you guys won SCL last year. It was pretty tight with a couple teams. This year, you've really blown at everyone. Doesn't look like you can be touched. How have you guys built such a strong program in just a couple years?
We practice hard every day, get ready for the matches, and we focus on every shot. I mean, it's just the talent that we have, I guess.
What's your guys' end goal at the end of the season?
To go undefeated, win SCL, and then play well in NCS.
Thank you, Whit.
Thank you.
That was Whitaker Ellis, who's mentioned has shot the lowest scores consistently for the golf team, which has really rolled through SCL play. They're 6-0, 4 more matches away from an undefeated SCL title for the 2nd straight year. Don't think any match really has been that close for them. So they've had a very reliable 5 golfers that have done very well. Charlie Winter won SCL as a sophomore last year for them, but Ellis has led the Trojans, but they've gotten some strong performances from a couple others as well. Enzo Scacalosi, Shannon Stoll, Cole Powers, the main other golfers, even when Winter has faltered a little bit. And no issues. They have built a strong program there. And there's a lot of SCL titles on the line for a lot of spring sports. The boys golf team seems to be practically a guarantee for them. So back to head to the bottom of the 5th with Atkinson. The Trojans are closing in on potentially a key SCL victory and continue this win streak going. This would be their 3rd straight win. And it feels like it's a team really playing confident after their thrilling victory over Sarah last Thursday. They got past Annalee and those demons, and they played good, solid baseball. Burr has pitched well, and the Trojans have gotten hits when they need them, and they chased belly and got into an El Molino bullpen that's solid as well, but they got there. And we are now getting some action in the bullpen. We'll alert you on that in just a minute as the first pitch to sophomore Sam Brown is low. Still doesn't have a home run today, so he might need to do that if he wants to keep a home run a day up and turn into Giancarlo Stanton. 1-0. That misses low, 2-0. Brown really had a strong season last year. When things started to go wrong late in the season, the Trojans were struggling a little bit. With some late losses to Annalee as Brown fouled it back. Last year, Brown batted .300 as a freshman on the varsity team, including 10 runs, 9 RBIs, 5 doubles. He had a .395 on-base percentage. This year, everything's just gone better. .364 batting average, already 12 hits, 12 RBIs, 5 runs. Been patient, got some walks in as he works this to 3-1. He's had 4 walks on the season, and obviously the home runs. Verbal commitment to Santa Clara University, Division I school in the WCC. 3-1 from Atkinson, and Brown loops it into right field, a base hit, unable to be handled by Daniels, who's had just all sorts of adventures. The shadows have obviously not helped, which have slowly been advancing over right field from those low trees. And Daniels, I don't think really could have gone in. It was a short hopped him. If he could have tried diving, but would have risked giving up extra bases. And so it will be a base hit for Brown, and here's Lewis. Remember, Brown was intentionally walked last inning, and Lewis obviously was not happy about it. A RBI, 2 RBI base hit, or an RBI base hit up the middle gave the Trojans the lead. And the Trojans would add 2 more runs to that inning. Lewis smashes this one, but he got under it a little bit, and the catch is made. And right, that one off the bat, thought that one had a shot, but it died out there and right. Daniels makes the catch a couple steps from the warning track, so there's 1 down.
Center fielder, number 3, Kempton Brandis.
Here is Kempton Brandis. And Brandis, the solo home run last inning. So I'm sorry, Lewis's RBI single was back in the 3rd. Brandis led off the 4th with a solo home run, and then 2 more runs were added last inning. First pitch misses high from Atkinson. Sophomore in a big moment for El Molino. That one misses high.
What? Because I'm literally, yeah.
2-0. Takes a look back at Brown in the pitch. Inside. No, not inside. Brandis turned out of the way. It was so far inside, but the umpire saw it catch the inside. 2-1. That one misses outside. Atkinson has some good stuff, but the control has been iffy. Meanwhile, the bullpen has had plenty of action for the Trojans. Both Danny Marzo and Nick Sembita were getting work, so we'll see who Coach Shelvatella decides to bring out in the 6th. I can't imagine Burrow would work any farther, as this one is hit down the third base line. It's fair ball. Brown gets on his horse to third, and it's a double for Brandis, who is right now hitting quite spectacularly. Had the home run, was all over that one down the line. No chance for the left fielder. And the Trojans are threatening once again to blow this game wide open. Here is Bradley Smith. And we'll see if Atkins' day is done, or he's just going to have a conversation with Lewis. Feels like the Lions have to get out of this inning unscathed. Otherwise, the Trojans are going to be in control and make it a much less stressful time for the Trojan fans, supporters, and most importantly, the coaches. Sometimes you wonder how some baseball managers just don't get heart attacks. I know Dave Roberts was complaining about his health, manager of the Dodgers in the World Series last year. Same with A.J. Finch for the Astros. What a thriller of a World Series that was. Got you on the edge of your seat, but not good for your health if you're a fan or the manager. Questioning every decision you make. Baseball's such a game of cat and mouse. Right now, Coach Salvatella has out-coached Justin Lewis. But the Trojans have had the better players today as well. That one misses high, and Atkinson's command is slowly declining. 1-0. This one is grounded to short. Doesn't even take a look at home, so it's an RBI out. Ground out for Smith as Brown scored, and Brandis advances to third. And that's what you needed to do if you're Smith. Just make contact with it, find a way to score a runner, and advance it to 6-1. So here is Gallagher. Don't forget, after the game, stay tuned. We're going to have interviews with some of the stars of the game. There have been many stars today for the Trojans, so do not miss those interviews live right here. Off-speed misses by Atkinson. 2 down. Trojans leading 6-1 over El Molino out of Forestville. About 50 fans clad in red have made the drive about 45 minutes south. So that one misses low. 2-0. Gallagher surprisingly hitless today. He's been so hot of late. The junior catcher. 2-0. That one misses low. Really heated up in the Boris tournament, which is so amazing that you're facing some of the best pitchers in the state. The de facto state championship Boris tournament, Sac State prides itself in selecting the 16 best teams in Northern California and Southern California, the winners of each tournament, as he's 4-pitch walk Gallagher. The winner of the NorCal and SoCal will face each other in the supposedly state championship game, because there is none, as I believe the day is done for Atkinson, who's lost his control. Atkinson is out. We'll tell you about the pitching change a little bit later, but for the Boris tournament, the winner of that, so 16 teams in the Northern California tournament, 16 teams in a Southern California tournament, the 2 winners will face off in a state championship game, basically, not officially, but this year, this will be the final time that there is no CIF baseball state championship, because the season goes too late. NCS championship game finishes the day after school normally. However, next year they are going to move up the schedule. All sports are going to be moved up pretty much 2 weeks next year, pretty much for the purpose of getting baseball and softball opportunities for a state championship. Bellarmine this year out of Palo Alto won the NorCal tournament for their 2nd straight year. Trojans went 2-2 there and nearly beat San Benito in the Constellation Championship game, lost 6-5 on a walk-off. I mentioned their good wins over Carmont and Casa. And who knows if they beat Wood Creek in their first game. They lost 2-1. And just Trojans could not get going against a good Wood Creek team with their bats, but they have today against El Molino, leading 6-1. They've been focused throughout and really played well against an Elmo team that came in undefeated and not used to losing, but the Trojans have been out front for the most. David Hollett is going to pitch here for Smith, another faster runner, while Sam Jacobs about to come up. Meanwhile, Bradley Sweeney, who has a 2.37 ERA, is going to come in. He starts somewhat. 20 innings pitched, but right now, Justin Lewis is just trying to find some way to stop the bleeding this afternoon, because right now it is starting to not go well for him. Appreciate Warrior tuning in. There was a message pop up to change the battery pack. I appreciate Warrior filling me in. Teddy, how much power does it say that has left?
Like the last little bit. Something like the last.
Is there a minute thing on it?
58.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you, Warrior, for that. And also Justin Langwell tuning in as well. Appreciate all the viewers tuning in. Feel free to leave a comment in the live chat. You can like this video, and you can check out everything else on our YouTube channel. Trojans, we live streamed the Trojans' victory over San Lorenzo last month. We have the complete game against Sarah last week. They won. And we'll be live streaming next week when they take on Piner. Jacobs takes the first pitch into right field. It's a long run, but making the catch is Daniels, who seemingly has gotten the ball hit to him every time. But he makes the catch there, and the inning is over. Just one pitch for Sweeney, and we move on to the 6th. So Trojans with good run advantage here. Lots of security, leading by 5. Burrer's day is done. The question was who was going to come out for the Trojans to relief, and the answer is Danny Marzo. You wondered if maybe they would have gone with Sembita, who isn't as strong of a pitcher, the junior, with this comfortable lead, but at least for now, they're going to stick with Marzo to hold this lead and potentially get the final 6 outs of this inning. If it had been closer, they might have gone with Andraken for the save in the 7th, who started to become the closer after starting a lot last year. That's sort of the preferred Trojan order, I think. Burrer starts, pitches 4 or 5. Marzo's the setup guy, and the closer is Nick Andraken. So we'll get to see Danny Marzo in just a moment. El Molino will see if they can put a dent in this and try to remain undefeated in SCL. But the Trojans really have given a wake-up call to the Lions and shown who is boss, that they were the favorites coming to SCL, and they are not going to go without a fight. Mentioned a couple of the spring sports teams vying for an SCL championship. The boys swim team, still undefeated in SCL. It will all come down to next Thursday for them at Sonoma to see if they can win their first SCL title in a long time. Boys tennis team remains undefeated. For them, it will pretty much come down to next Monday against Sonoma to see who wins that one. Will be in control for an SCL title. Mentioned the boys golf team should close out their SCL title in a couple weeks. Both baseball and softball battling for one. Mentioned the boys lacrosse team undefeated. They're up at Windsor tonight. So, and the track team is still pretty early in their season, but both teams had resounding victories in their first league meet on Wednesday, so both certainly have a shot there. We could get, who knows, 5 or 6 banners up on the wall, and the Trojans taking more than half of the spring sports SCL titles to close out the Sonoma County League. How sweet that would be. Shane Spellman is going to lead it off for the Lions here, as Marzo's first pitch is a side armor with some pop, but it missed inside, 1-0. Spellman, senior second baseman, chops this one foul down the line. Light wind has been blowing throughout, left to right, third to first. Hasn't impacted things too much. It's been a beautiful day, starting to cool down now, probably below 70 degrees, but just wispy clouds. Should be a wonderful Friday evening. And that one got away. Marzo's exclusively going with the side armor right now, but he really missed that. It hits Spellman. Gets all sorts of cat calls from the Lions bench, and the leadoff runner is on. People from El Molino certainly are not known for being quiet. From my experience with Lions students, they might be the most talkative people I know. Weston Lewis is pinch hitting here, and he is only a freshman, but the Trojans know that freshmen can step up at big moments. Garrett Lewis has done it multiple times this year, including a home run against Sarah, had a walk-off against Tam, and he has a .512 on-base percentage coming in today. So if you're talented enough to be a freshman on varsity, you're going to be something special. That one misses, and Marzo's control is not good so far. We talked about his inconsistency. Part of that consistency is control. The other thing is the body language. keeping that strong. And Coach Paul Braw has talked about that. That's been the issue with Marzo, is that one's in there, and that when he's unhappy with his pitching, that he can really show it on the mound. Marzo also was in GQ last Saturday here at PHS. One of 12 senior boys in that production, as that one misses low. Fundraiser for prom was an excellent performance, with AJ Shaheen winning Mr. GQ. I think Trojan Live might have some film of that might come up on one of our shows, if we can get things together. Not sure. But there was some film of this, so you'll probably see it at some point if you did miss the spectacular. But Marzo has started off with a hit batter and now a walk of the freshman Lewis, who stood in there patiently. And Sembita, who warmed up, might come out, might need to get his arm ready if Marzo cannot find his control. Cole Van Stone, the sophomore center fielder, thought that one was inside, but it caught the inside corner. Marzo quickly worked himself into a pickle here. That misses low, gets away from Gallagher. Both runners will advance without a throw. Gallagher unhappy with himself that he didn't stop it, but I guess you'd rule that a wild pitch. And Gallagher's going to have a conversation with Danny Marzo, or at least give him back the ball and get a quick word to him, because the control is not there for Marzo, who did pitch an inning against Annalee on Friday and pitched 2 against Sarah. You wouldn't think he'd be too tired from that, but he's gone from the starting role for much of his life to a relief role, and that's really changed things for him.
There you go.
That one is in there for a strike. 1-2. Amo got 2 on last inning. Couldn't do anything with it. Both are on walks, and again, they've gotten it here. 2 runners in scoring position and a chance to get back in this one. 2-2 now.
Little bingo, 4 little bingo here.
Off speed from Marzo. That's the inconsistency, and then he can throw one out like that. That was just nasty. Cole Van Stone tried to pull around as he saw it diving in the dirt, but it was too late. And a key first out for the Lions. As here's the pitcher, Bradley Sweeney, who looks a lot bigger at bat than he does pitching. Maybe it's just my perspective. The first pitch he takes, fouls it off near the Lions dugout. 0-1. This one he pops up out of play and hopefully not ruining any car's windshields back in the parking lot. 0-2 though. Marzo's suddenly gone ahead of a couple batters and maybe found himself, and Burris was sort of able to do that last inning. He had some control issues, worked around it. But we talked about not wanting to make Coach Shelvatello sweat. This is how you do it. Lose a lot of hair. You're a baseball coach. Oh, off speed is not fair. Sweeney just stares blankly into the air, wondering what he just saw. Frozen in motion, picturesque, as if he was painting a picture there. Well, Marzo's lacking control. He found something and has put 2 nasty backwards Ks on Lions players. Here is Thomas Siegert, so the pinch hitters are continuing here as the Lions are trying to give some different looks here, try to get some hitting, but we're not able to get much against Burwer. We haven't been able to get any hits off Marzo yet. They have only gotten 2 hits today, but they've got a couple base runners with some walks that have made things more interesting. 1-1. Siegert steps out. The fouls at this point, even are really helping Marzo to just get some strikes in there. I think he'll be happy if El Molino just swings at anything right now. That one misses outside. A good catch by Gallagher to avoid that getting by him. Potentially a free run to El Molino. Trojans have a couple pitchers that they could go to. Sambito warmed up. Jake Duca has not gotten some action in a couple weeks. He could. That one was just fouled down the first baseline. So it's 2-2.
Don't give up. Come on now. Fight. Come on. Don't give up.
Trojans have 71 strikeouts. Marzo was trying to get strike out the side, and that one just misses. So we have worked it to a full count. Trojan pitchers have done a lot of striking out. And just fouled off by Seegert, staying alive. So many payoff pitches and so many long at-bats. Credit for the Lions for battling, if nothing else. Turning into a later Friday evening with the sun starting to set over Petaluma here. Trojans trying to finish it out before the sun gives out. They got a couple more hours, though, but this has been a long and lengthy one. The way El Molino's batted, pitching changes. 3-2. And you mentioned earlier that maybe El Molino isn't the most talented team, and you haven't seen a lot of just, that's an amazing baseball player plays, but you've just seen great physicality and great way to stay in there and force walks like that. And Seegert gets the walk there. That just missed, but getting on base through some walks, fouling off, staying tough, stealing some bases, scraping across runs, sticking around. You get one big hit, and suddenly you're right back into this. With a swing of a bat, Hamner can make this a one-run ball game. Top of the order. The junior third baseman. Been impressive, too, for El Molino. This is not an exclusively senior team. There are some seniors, but a lot of the players have been juniors, sophomores. They have really improved immensely. They were not something the Trojans would even really think about being challenged by the Lions. But there's no doubt, even if the score doesn't indicate it, they've been tested today. That one catches the outside corner. A much-needed strike for Marzo. It's 2-1. 2 outs. The bases are loaded, but the Trojans lead at 6-1 in the top of the 6th. The 2-1 is fouled down the third base line. He rolled over it. 2-2, and a couple times, El Molino's had 3 times. El Molino's had 2 runners on base. This is the third. For first 2 prior times, they did not score in those innings. That one gets by Gallagher, and oh my goodness.
Hey guys, keep it close. We got one more shot. Close. Yeah.
You guys play Northwood this week?
Yeah, I think so.
Go, Brad.
I think Northwoods and then one at home.
Talk to Cole, let him make sure he goes to like a video tour.
I hate that goal. And all the shadows, you can't see where the pin is on the green at all.
Play the middle of the green. You guys do that, like instead of watching film, like you look and see it for the voice?
Testing. Okay, apologies for that. We did lose the audio.
There's not really any, when we walk, it's not like whole whale.
We did lose the audio there, and I might have just been a little loud there. We lost the audio for just a moment, but hope that wasn't too long. We are back here, about to start the bottom of the sixth, as Sweeney stays in for the Lions. And with those 2 runs put back, this game feels much closer. Suddenly it's a 3-run ball game, and it feels like the Trojans would like to add maybe a couple more to feel comfortable again, because a 3-run ball game is certainly no comfort, especially the lack of control that the Trojans have had in this one. Marzo will lead off, so after that rough outing he had, he is going to bat, which he has done a fantastic job doing. He's going to have a conversation with the catcher. 3 for 4 today, including a couple RBIs, a couple runs.
Good, Dan.
First pitch is high.
Gotta come to you.
6-3 the score. Bottom of the 6th. Marzo pops this up and unable to make the catch. The center fielder does a great job one-handing it. He wasn't able to get to it, but he snared it with his bare hand to avoid letting the ball get by him. And Marzo will only get a single. If that got by him, could have been at least a double, not a triple. Marzo has good speed, but the leadoff single is big, and the Trojans keep the runners moving, as the Trojan bats have really woken up the last couple innings, and seen this a bunch of times this year where slow starts the game, both pitching and hitting, they fall behind and been able to wake up, come from behind. A couple games the opposite is Slate got under that one and slugs it. That might have reached into Webster Street, but out of play. 0-1. It's been a better game for Slate today. Slowly starting to improve. Really was at a deep slump back in March, but the calendar turned to April. He's starting to return more to his elite form last couple years. And of course, remember the Little League World Series, as that one was missed, and then holding it for maybe 2 millenniums was Hamner, the catcher. Just letting the umpire know where it was. And there's certainly been some frustration today with the balls and strikes. It's a low pitch. Slate just fouls it off. 1-2. No outs. Marzo at first. Trojans trying to add some more insurance runs before the 7th inning, and the Trojans hope the last. Off speed again, and Slate again just battles and gets a piece of it. Senior, one of the guys that you call a baseball junkie, in the cage all the time, battling, loves the sport. That's all he talks about. Trojans have a lot of players on this team like that. Came to Petaluma High for baseball, love baseball. Eat, sleep, and breathe baseball. Ooh, and that was I don't know what he was trying to do there. It was maybe 40 miles per hour, sailing high, and if Slate had the inspiration, he might have taken a hack at that and been able to hit it over the center field fence. There was nothing on that. Quick conversation from Hamner to Sweeney. 2-2. And looking back at Marzo, gets back. Slade rips it down the line and foul. Right on that one that time. Marzo asking some encouragement from first base. Trojans 7-4-1 on the season, trying to get their longest win streak of the year if they can win today and get their third straight win. Frames Slate. He strikes out. Throw back to first, but Marzo easily back in time. So big first out there for Sweeney, and here's Andraken. If Elmo can stay within 3 runs into the 7th, feels like they absolutely have a chance to make things interesting. Get the winning run up to the plate is not too hard at all. Haven't played in a lot of close games, though. Haven't come behind from a lot, so this is very unknown territory for the Lions. Have only lost 3 times all season. Projected to be 4th seeded in NCS Division 4. They are a much smaller school than the Trojans, about 600 people. Only high school in West County. Stepping off very late was Sweeney. That was nearly a balk. The off speed there, that was nice. And Andraken was not going to swing at that as soon as it left his hand. Surprised to see where that ended up. Brown on deck here. And Draken pops it sky high in the air. Third baseman racing over. Right fielder coming over. The third baseman cannot make the catch. Hamner nearly made a glove sort of running backwards. Would have been sort of a la Willie Mays catch, but a little to the side. But with the right fielder coming in, that was not going to be easy. And the Draken popped that a good 20, 30 feet in the air as well. And the wind took it around. I think that might have hit Hamner on the hand or the leg or something. So Justin Lewis is going to check on him. I think the leg. He's limping a little. Make sure he's all right. Lewis having a conversation with his third baseman, but it looks like he'll be all right, so that's good. It's 1-2 to Andraken. Senior got a couple hits today. Just does that every day. Very, very consistent. He doesn't do anything spectacular. Some of the other Trojans have belted home runs, game-winning hits. Doesn't have any of that. He's not the sexiest player, but he just battles. Same with pitching. He'll have some drama, but he always seems to be a winner. Find ways to get outs, get wins. Did it last year. 2.4 ERA, pitching 3-2 in 4 games started, 23 innings pitched. Third most pitches on the Trojans. This year when he's pitched, he's done well. As Andraken crushes this one. Deep to right. You can see this one. Never again. A 2-run shot for Andraken. And that one you knew was gone from the time it cracked the bat. He said Andraken might not be the sexiest player, but that time he hit a gorgeous shot over the left field fence. The lacrosse players are going to have to look out on the football field. He wanted to join in on the home run party. My goodness, the Trojans have been hitting this one, everything out of the park. They have seen their second home run today, their fifth home run in the last 3 games, their 8th home run on the season. What is going on with the Trojans' bats? Not sure anyone has a real answer. Is it the approach? Are their bats juiced? Have they conditioned better? Coach Shelvatella just credited to hard work in the batting cage, and maybe it's just that and one more year of experience and talent. Varsity plan for a lot of these players, but Andrikin absolutely smoked that one. You knew it by the time it left his bat. And a 2-run home run gives the Trojans plenty more security as they head to the 7th. Now up 5, 8-3 as Sam Brown's up fouls the first one off. He doesn't have a home run today if he wants to add one more. That one had to be a good 350, 375. The bat of Andrikin. Brown fouls it off. And I think the Trojans swing big too, and they've been encouraged to do that because they have a lot of players on this team that are big, muscular, tall players that have a lot of power and know they have that potential to drive balls over the wall. And they struck it out maybe more than you would have liked, but they've complemented that with a lot of home runs, extra base hits, as we mentioned, an 8.49 OBS, as this is a little dribbler that will stay fair, and Brown is thrown out 2 down. OBS combining on-base percentage and slugging, and the slugging percentage is much higher than the on-base percentage, and that's what we mentioned, that their Trojans are all about extra base hits and slugging percentage. Lewis, who's only a freshman, picked up the bat of Brown, and I don't know if you saw that, but he threw it at Brandis, who could not see. He was blinded by the sun and just had to get out of the way. The Trojans aren't doing everything right out there, but this team seems to be full with energy, confidence, and bats that are going well. How about that off speed? My goodness, there was nothing put on that, but Lewis was frozen. It was inside to the freshman. That one misses outside. I would not recommend parking your car on Webster Street right now behind the baseball diamond, because the way the Trojans are hitting right now, you could have to be talking to your insurance agency very soon about a new windshield. 2-0. This one is grounded to short. Nice play there to retire Lewis. The inning's over, but Nick Andrikin, a 2-run shot to extend the lead, the Trojans, to 8-3, and Nick Sembita coming out to try to close it out for the Trojans. Oh, we're up to 4 viewers. Appreciate everyone tuning in, including Michael Barabalt as well. 8-3, the Trojans lead here in the top of the 7th. We go. Sembita trying to come out for the close. Trojans rode with Marzo in a very ugly 6th inning, but you'll quickly forget about that, the way the Trojans have been hitting. And Draken launches the home run, and talking about maybe having to talk to your insurance policy with the way the Trojans are hitting home runs. The thing is, some of these players are going to be back next year. You want the players to pay the insurance policy. While Garrett Lewis is only a freshman, he hasn't even completed business class yet here at Petaluma High. So I don't think the players will pay for your broken windshield. So just a little advice there, but the way the Trojans are mashing home runs, it has been remarkable this season, and it is absolutely the weapon and strength of this team, that they are just able to crush balls 350 feet and 350 and beyond, and they once again do it today. Kim DeBrandis had a solo home run earlier today, and the Trojans worked back from a 1-0 deficit. It was an unearned run in the first, given up by Blake Burwer. The Ball was thrown away that got a run to score after a hit batsman, but the Trojans were able to get one back in the second on an unearned run after a Bradley Smith double and then a throwaway. And then the Trojans added another one on that Kempton Brandis solo home run, and then added 2 more in that third inning. Then had a 2-run inning in the fourth to extend their lead with a little bit more nice hitting. And then after El Molino got 2 runs in the last inning on a Danny Marzo walkathon, Nick Andrakin's 2-run shot gave the Trojans an 8-3 lead. So there's your recap on everything that has gone on today. If you missed any of the game, though, you can always go back. Right now, you could go back if you want to check something out on the little toggler and see the full game, or if you want to watch the full game in its entirety later, it's all be right here on our YouTube channel in the PHS Baseball/Softball 2018 section. So Nick Sambita on, trying to close it out for the Trojans as his first pitch is low here to Hamner. I went in there for a strike. Sambita is a junior, 6'1", 209 pounds, can also play first, but primarily a pitcher. Has started a couple games and relieved a couple times as well. He's a 3.15 ERA in 6 innings pitched, 3 strikeouts, and a 387 on base percentage against him. So that one's in there for a strike. 1 and 2. Just 2 appearances so far, so hasn't pitched a lot, but someone that I think they can use in both relief and both to start games when necessary, and someone they're going to badly need next year with Andrakin, Marzo, Burr all graduating. The pitching depth shallow this year. It's going to be even more shallow next year, but obviously not worrying about that right now. 2 and 2. Just misses on the outside corner. And once again, Al Molino's going to battle, make this game go as long as possible. It's nearing 2.5 hours. Kurt Lewis, just like pretty much every other El Molino batter, has worked it to a full count today. I've lost count of how many times Elmo's done it, but it's got to be near double digits. Only 2 hits by the Lions today as Lewis strikes out. That was some nice speed there. I want to apologize. It was not Nick Sambita who was pitching, who after I just went over that, they do look rather similar. Though, it was Sam Brown who is pitching instead, and sort of similar pitcher, tall and lengthy, 3.5 ERA in just 2 innings, and that was his one time he pitched. He can pitch a little in relief, did a little last year, and I think he is someone that we talked about that the Trojans would want to develop because they do lack pitching. This one has popped up. Sam Brown will take it. Good jump to run over, and this has been a good inning for Brown to come on. Trojans confident with a 5-run lead, trying to give him some work, so you do against some good hitting. And so far faring well. The Trojans are 1 out away from closing this out, handing the Lions their first SCL loss of the season, remaining in control of their destiny for their first SCL title since 2012. As that one's in there for a strike. Moving within half a game of first place. They'd be half a game back of Elmo and tied with Piner at second, and they play Piner next week. On Friday, we'll be live streaming that at 4, so don't miss that one as well. Big swing and the miss. Oh, wow. Sam Brown with this fastball is looking good so far. Trojans will head to Forestville on May 8th to face the Lions. That will be a big return game next month. That one misses low. Weston Lewis, freshman first baseman, staying alive here. He walked last inning, came around to score. Stay tuned for interviews after the game. Shift is also on for the Trojans. Jacob standing behind second base. The pitch is high. Checking the swing. He did not go around. Awfully close there. 2 and 2. Two outs. Trojans leading 8-3. 1 strike away here. Swing and a miss, and that will do it. A fist punch from Coach Salvatella, and a huge SCL victory for the Trojans. They go to 8-4-1 on the season. Al Molino drops to 10-4 overall, 4-1 in league, and the Trojans move to 3-1 in league. And importantly, hand the Lions their first SCL loss. They wanted a statement victory to show who is boss in SCL baseball, and the Trojans proved they were the better team tonight under the beautiful Friday night sun. Don't turn it off. As we will have interviews in just a moment as the Trojans close out the victory. Sam Brown closing it out, but 2 home runs in this one. Brandis launched one, and then how about another home run by Nick Andraken as the Trojans kept on adding to it. We'll get that video up in a moment. Interviews are coming up next, so stay right here.
What? Okay, can you, get it? And then we'll just switch the battery in here. Normally it'd be fine, but this game was so long.
Are they letting up when I talk? Okay, cool. So we are going to grab interviews in just a moment, and hopefully you're going to see me again. Can you see the video? Does it still say no picture or whatever? Oh, there's picture? All right, cool. Actually, okay, so could you carry that? So players getting a conversation with Coach Salvatella right now, and then as soon as they're done, we're going to talk with a couple stars of the game after the Trojans' 8-3 victory over the Lions. Thank you. And the Trojans, once again, they did it with big timely hitting, home runs today. Put together a couple innings when they needed it most. But the pitching really was dominant today, and they only gave up 2 hits to the Lions all day long, which is pretty remarkable. We're good here. Only gave up 2 hits to the Lions all day long, and that really was the key for the Trojans. Yeah, could you check to make sure the sound's good and you can see me as well? And Brewer will hopefully talk to him in just a moment. Came up against El Molino, which really had been hitting very, very well of late, and he came out and really dominated them for the most part, gave up an early run, but just as the Trojans gave up an early run against Annalee on Tuesday, they were able to hold down the fort, not worry about the errors too much. Sorry. And they were confident and a little tense early. I think both teams were a little tense early, but once the tension got, yeah. Once the tension once everything calmed down a couple innings in, it felt like everything was smooth. Everything smooth, and it just felt like the Trojans were just the better team. All right, still Coach Salvatella talking with the team, so going well, Chet? It's okay, cool. And we'll talk to a couple players as soon as they're done with it. Blake Burrow will get the win. No save for Sam Brown, but very impressive in that 8th inning. That was probably the quickest inning the Trojans had all day long. And you can see why El Molino's undefeated. They just battle, scrape across runs, find ways to get some runs across and have some success. And it won't be easy when the Trojans head up to Forestville. But this was the performance they wanted. They were patient throughout, and they knew how good this El Molino team was. They'd have to fight hard, and they just have to make sure to keep it up. no slip-ups. You really can't afford that because that lost to Piner and that early slip-up. They're probably going to have to win out to make sure they can have an outright SCL title, but it feels like they have the talent and they're the best team to do that. Of course, you have to play it on the field, and the Trojans, probably went up against Sarah last week. They were the worst team out there, but they were able to pull out that win, prove they really belong, and also they can potentially not lose another game in SCL along the way. That's going to really help with NCS as they look towards going far in NCS. Who knows? They're a good enough team in my mind to win, especially the way they're hitting with power, getting runs across. That will be key. You want to take over for a quick minute, Teddy, and I'll grab a player?
What's up, guys? So we're here. Petaluma Trojans doing great. Just to give you a little update on what we're working on in the bigger aspect of the show. We got a lot of new investigative videos coming up, and Griffin's just grabbing a few players to interview right now. Basically, we're just standing in the midst of a great victory. Looks like everyone's in great spirits. And here we have Nick Andraken, number 16, coming through. And Don Bikini waking up. It's my friend. And back to Griffin. Back to you, Griffin.
Thank you, Teddy. You did a great job on the camera today. Blake Burr, who started today and was masterful, is about to join me. There he is. He was about to go get the American flag from center field, so he's making the long run inwards, and he has to be very happy with his performance today. The Trojans ace, getting his second victory of the season, goes to 2-2. All right, we're here with Blake Burr. I'm doing well, and how are you doing after your outstanding pitching performance today against El Molino, undefeated, no more in SCL?
Well, I'm doing great. I knew I had to go out there and shove today, and I did. So the umpire was squeezing a little bit, but got through it. Blew fastballs by him and got the job done.
El Molino was averaging over 500 on the season batting, and you guys held them to only 2 hits the whole game. How are you guys able to work up some confidence and really get them up off balance, even when they were really battling and working a lot of full counts?
Well, I think overall we're a much better team than them, and we were just able to throw strikes that they weren't used to, much faster, much harder, more movement. And the grass really played our way this day. We just had a great day out in the ballpark.
It was a lot of long at-bats, though. El Molino did really battle. What were the challenges of working through that? A lot of 3-2 payoff pitches, it formed some walks. How were you able to work through that, especially as it got to the later innings and you got tired?
Well, I just bared down and kept throwing strikes. I knew that we'd be able to get through it, and my defense behind me would make the plays they needed to make.
Depth on this team pitching-wise isn't great. As the ace, what's the pressure on you coming out and performing well every time you come out and pitch, and how do you handle that?
Well, I know I need to go at least 5 innings. I need to throw strikes, and I need to keep my pitch count low until late in the game, and it's been working well this year.
Thank you, Blake. Congratulations. Right, that was Blake Burr, the starting pitcher today. We're going to grab a couple more players.
Nick, I swear to God, if you touch this rig, I will literally punch you in your one ball left. You're officially a position player. Grabbing a tarp. Wait, we don't need the tarp. Sam, we don't need the tarp. No tarp. Sam, no tarp. They were all worried that Saturday morning was all that. Pumpkin, somebody wants to interview you. Better? Wait, you gotta get this. Get all the footprints. You're fine. Send that to you first. Send back to you. Nick, I swear to God. Don't touch my masterpiece. I will kill you. are literally, you are ass. You are ass at raking. You're the definition of scrub. Yeah, it's a pretty good one.
All right, Kempton Brandis about to join me. Apologies for the delay here with the center fielder of the Trojans, Kempton Brandis. And you have been on fire from the plate last couple games. How have you been able to get into such a rhythm?
I think just being able to focus more, on the trajectory of the baseball. I'm not trying to do too much with it. I think earlier in the year I was trying to hit the ball a little too hard, trying to get on a little too much and letting my mind take over. But now I've just been kind of trying to take it step by step, smooth swing, think opposite way, react in.
And you hit a solo home run today. You expect you'd be able to come out here and hit some home runs, and how were you able to do it?
Actually, I didn't even expect it. I was just trying to get it hit. Trying to start something up. It just happened to be a ball that went over the fence. I'm not going to expect to hit anymore. I'm not going to expect to not do well the rest of the time. But I'm definitely going to try my hardest to hit the ball well and hit the ball solid.
And you guys have been hitting balls out of the park like crazy. You now have 8 home runs on this season. You guys only had 1 last year. How have you guys been able to be hitting so many home runs this year?
Honestly, I think it's because we have a bunch of huge seniors. We have a lot of big kids on the team, and I think that they can put the bat on the ball really well, square it up. We hit a lot of home runs in practice, and I think it just translates into games.
And this team definitely was not complacent today against a solid El Molino team. It's a long second half of the SCL season. How do you guys keep up that high level of intensity throughout?
I think we just come, every practice, every game ready to play our hardest. I don't think, there's not very many kids on the team that goof off, if any. We have a lot of kids that come here and they want to work hard every day and get better, because practice is really the only time that we can work on, bettering ourselves. So yeah, I definitely think that putting in the time during practice, doing our best during games, and just staying focused throughout, not messing around with anything on the outside of the diamond.
Thank you, Kempton.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, that was Kempton Brandis. We're going to grab Nick and Drake in for our final interview of the evening. Do you want to go? Teddy, can you go run and grab Nick? Cool. All right, Teddy's going to go and didn't need to record. Teddy is going to run and grab Nick and Drake in for our final interview. So I want to appreciate everyone that tuned into our live stream today. Trojans playing with confidence, hitting balls out of the park. Pitching was like it is today. They're going to be hard to beat by anyone. Proved they could beat Sarah. Playing a really scrappy team, I thought, in El Molino, but they were the more talented team. Proved it out on the field today. Didn't get complacent throughout the game and really kept their foot on the gas pedal, kept on scoring runs, and it was impressive. All right, Nick and Draken joining me here, and you had a mammoth 2-run shot in the bottom of the 6th inning. Take us through that at bat.
Well, it started with a nice little foul ball pop out, got under that one, and then apparently there was an injury or something, so they called timeout. My coach came over and talked to me. He was like, and they were just like, hey, don't miss the high curve ball. They keep taking it. And then, so anyways, saw the hanger out of the hand and just pounded it.
And you guys have been hitting home runs like crazy. What's your theory on why the team has been able to hit so many home runs this year compared to last year?
Just getting after it, like on the field, in the weight room, all that stuff, just hammering down.
And El Molino undefeated before this in SCL. What did this tell SCL and both you guys and all the other teams in Sonoma County about where the league race stands and about you guys?
I'd say it just says that we're here for a pennant and we won't settle for anything less.
And you guys seem to be playing really confident, have good team chemistry. What's that dynamic on the team, and how has that helped you guys?
Yeah, it's definitely there. We're definitely getting better at, like, working together as a team. We had a lot of new guys come up, like freshmen, sophomore, people like that. But it definitely helps being able to trust the guy next to you and not, risking making a bad play or hitting the ball somewhere you don't want to.
And finally, you always feel like you're very consistent in the plate. You're second on the team in batting average. You always get 1 or 2 hits per game. How are you always able to get out there and produce?
Just always thinking the same thing. Fastball, hit it hard. Nothing really more than that.
Thank you, Nick. Yeah. Congratulations. All right, that was Nick Andraken. Thanks to Nick Kempton and also, so many people forgetting. Blake Brewer, of course, the ace today for the Trojans. All the great interviews. Appreciated their time, as always. So friendly and nice to talk to. And again, appreciating all of our viewers for tuning in. A lot of fun, so don't miss next Friday. Baseball team back at it against a good Pioneer team. They need to beat Pioneer if they want to, again, keep those SCL title hopes alive. And they lost to the Prospectors. Revenge is going to be a big factor on their mind. Burrow likely on the mound again. We'll see how they'll be able to do against the Prospectors. Live stream starts at 4. Don't miss that. And we'll continue having baseball coverage throughout the season. Also, softball live streams starting to come up. Sonoma, Annalee, last week in April, first week in May. We got a couple softball live streams, so don't miss those as well. And also next Wednesday, we'll be at the Varsity boys lacrosse team. It's a big game against Casa Grande, so that will not be live, but it'll be up on our YouTube channel that night, so do not miss that game. That is going to be absolutely huge. Full coverage, of course, throughout the week on all spring sports going on. But here the baseball team closes out El Molino, undefeated no more. A big victory. They are a game and a half now behind the Lions for first place in SCL. 2 home runs. Again, they continue the power surge. Blake Brewer strong. Sam Brown closed it out. The pitching really had El Molino off balance, and they struggled today. That's going to do it here from Abbey Field. I'm Griffin Epstein. Good night. Can you, Teddy, can you see if you can find where it says stop streaming on there?